Welcome back to another episode of NFL News on the Boomer Bust channel. I'm your host, Terry, and today, recapping the NFL playoff weekend, we have a lot of just silly, stupid, ridiculous takes, narratives, slander, myths, spin, just all types of bad football talk after the playoffs. So we're going to break it down. Number one, I'm going to start with my Bears fans. As you know, we talk about the Bears a lot. And so if you are a listener, this is not a shock to you. But I would say this is for any fan in general, to be honest. Just be better fans. And that is this idea of making fun of a team that loses when your team sucks. I just don't understand at all. And it's not like I rooted against the Packers, or, if a team's going to win, I'm fine if it's not the Packers. It's not that. It's not, the team beat us last week. It's not a Dallas fan rooting for the Niners to lose. It's not that. People literally, this is my Super Bowl. I only watch the playoffs to see the Packers lose. This is better than being with my wife or my husband. All I care about is seeing Sharon Rodgers lose and Karen Rodgers lose. Really? Really? Your team is trash and you're going to get off on another team losing? How about you focus on your team just being better? Put your energy and hopes and prayers and thoughts into that. It's so sad. It's pathetic. And again, that's any fan. And again, I don't care if you root against them, but people over here celebrating like we did something. And again, your team isn't that good. We didn't even make the playoffs as Bears fans. And I'm sure there's other bad teams out there and their fans rooting that their person lost. I'm sure some Jags fans are happy the Colts lost. Or not the Colts. The Colts didn't make it. They're happy the Titans lost. Any fan like that, I just don't get it. You're not even in the playoffs. What right do you have to talk? And then to talk crap, I'm talking about people like, they suck and this and that. If they suck, what does your team do? That's what I want to know. So anyway, it's the most ridiculous thing. Now, sticking on the 49ers game, I'm starting to feel like people didn't even watch the game. And now we all know the honest truth. You got your Skip Baylesses, your Colin Cowherds, and their many disciples, or people that think like them. And this is a problem with sports media in general. This is the way people think in society. It's very stupid. They think everything's an argument. They think that they have to say whatever they have to spin it their way. And it's so stupid, because to sit here and discount everything because you don't like a quarterback and say, this is all his quarterback's fault, and I'm going to take all the other context out. And then when a quarterback you like loses, it's because of them and them, now we blaming everybody else. It's only the context and not the quarterback. It's dumb. We're not having a debate. We're not having an argument. We're having an actual intelligent discussion. And if you're having an actual football discussion and watch the game, any game, it's a function of everybody. Everybody has to do their part. It is 4 quarters. There is no situation where only one person does their job and the team wins. It just does not happen. So if you watch the actual game, and this is, I'm not even going to point out all the false narratives that people are pointing out, but I'm going to say, if you look at the game, Jimmy G and Aaron Rodgers were under pressure all night. Point blank, period. Almost every other pass that they had to make was under pressure. And that wasn't good for Jimmy G, just like it wasn't good for Aaron Rodgers. You don't have your all-pro left tackle. And I get that you haven't had him all year, but you're going up against one of the best fronts. This is what the Niners can do best out of everything, is use their front four for pressure. And so with the people that you have on the line, you're not able to protect. And yes, the first drive, they went downfield, they did their thing. And the second drive and then the rest of the game, you got to give it to the Niners. They turned up and they made it uncomfortable. And so you had a nice drive, actually, the second time, I think. and then Mercedes Lewis fumbled. That's not really on Aaron Rodgers. Then you had a huge drop by number 81, the tight end. That was a problem. That stalled the drive. And then you had Aaron Rodgers make some mistakes, yes. But then to have this narrative, and I get it, it's all the haters, but to have this narrative coming out that he is scared and conservative, do you not know this man is in the top 10 passing of all time? Please tell me what type of career you think he would have if he wasn't quote unquote conservative. If you look at the stats, this man is always in the top 10 with air yards. Like, are you kidding me? Conservative. And this is how you know it's a bad take, because nobody except the people that were at the game saw the game outside of a televised broadcast view. And if you're watching it from a broadcast view, you can't see downfield. So to sit here and right after a game tell me he had bad decision making, to tell me he was scared to take a shot, to tell me he was making the wrong choice when you can't even see the coverage, that's how you know. Again, people were saying that was how he played his whole career. So you take that game out of it, that's just a terrible take. That's a terrible false take when the numbers in the film tells you otherwise. So it was so stupid. And again, I say Cowherd, that was the first one I heard, and then I heard everybody say it. Oh, he was protecting his passer rating. Oh, he wasn't trying to take shot. Bro. And this goes for bad quarterbacks. This goes for every quarterback. You people do not know the coverage. You don't see what it is. How come you didn't just get rid of the ball? How come you holding the ball? How come you didn't throw it? How come you just didn't complete a pass? Bro, you don't know. You don't even know what's downfield. And then on top of that, there's the pressure. Now, as I said, he made some mistakes. You had the shot, I think it was their last drive, that shot to Devontae Adams that should have been to Lazard over the middle, 100%. There was another play where he forced it to Randall Cobb, and he had another guy on the hitch that was wide open, 100%. And there was a couple other passes where it was just a little inaccurate. But really, outside of that, it was the pressure and the run game got stopped. Like, that is what it is. And then, obviously, the special teams. And same thing with Jimmy G. Like, people try to say it was bad. I mean, obviously, you could talk about other games. I think Jimmy G, for the most part, played a really good game. There might have been one play was behind him, but that first few drives, that was just everybody dropping the pass. And that was when he could get the ball out because he was so under pressure. And obviously, they run game really salvaged it for them. And then you had the special teams save them because they drove down the field, but the penalties messed up the 49ers. So that's the real story of the game. Then we go on, this isn't in order, but Titans, Bengals, that's the one I barely see anybody talking about, which is crazy. The one thing I'll say about that game is that everyone's talking about, oh, Burrow, they're going to blah, blah, blah for 10 years, and they're so dangerous. And I think the Bengals definitely, got talent, but they can't win playing like they played. Everybody's talking about the 9 sacks, fine. But you had so many coverage busts by the secondary on the Bengals, not to mention, obviously, the pass protection problems. But again, you just really, I don't think you could win playing the way that they played. And so, yes, they pulled it out in the end. They definitely got some turnovers. That first interception was, I wouldn't say terrible, but it was not good. Jesse Bates made a good play, but it was not a good throw. And so, yeah, they capitalized on some of those things, but the Bengals were playing a sloppy game. And so I do think that with the secondary they have, with the offensive line they have against the Chiefs, I don't know how easy of a task that's going to be to beat them. So that's one of the takeaways I saw out of that. And then obviously Derrick Henry. I mean, I don't know. People going crazy about Derrick Henry. I mean, I don't care really who you are. Coming off an injury like that, even if you're fully healed, you ain't played in that long. It's just tough to expect, something crazy out of him. And, Obviously, I hope he heals up and they'll be ready to go next year. Some people thinking this is it for the Titans. I mean, look, and what's crazy is everybody's talking about the Bucks head coach, the Todd Bowles, D coordinator, my bad. And then Raheem Morris, the D coordinator, Vance Joseph, all these coordinators. Yet nobody's talking about the people a part of the Titans turnaround. Like, they forgot the Titans were absolutely bad on defense. I mean, they had good players, but they were not good in the last few seasons. And they've had a complete turnaround, and not just the burst. They've consistently were able to play up to that level. I mean, you had a point where the Titans were one of the worst pass rushers, and now you see what they're doing. They're not just against the Bengals. Obviously, part of that is Bud Dupree coming in, but still, overall, you just really had a big turnaround, and probably with not that many big names in the secondary besides Byard. So those are the people you really should be talking about as far as promotions. But anyway, moving on from that game, the Bucks Rams. The Bucks just, man, I don't know. They were not there. I mean, obviously, it's the same discussion. The pass rush. I talked about the keys to victory last week and this week, and for the Rams, it was the same the last 2 weeks. The D-line. And what we've seen the last 2 weeks is what we haven't seen consistently from the Rams. And obviously, I think Von Miller, there's a little bit of an asterisk there, him coming in mid-season. And so it took some time for him to acclimate and all that. But still, Aaron Donald has to take a lot of that. The all-world Aaron Donald, he just wasn't up to a level, I don't think, consistently through the season that I've seen him over the last 2 weeks. And so you had last week where the Cardinals were absolutely just flooded by the pass rush, and the D-line just overwhelmed in the run and pass game. And I said that was the key with this as well, because, I mean, even with Ramsey, you just not at a point with that secondary, and people sleep on those 2 key losses in the secondary. You're not at a point where you could really do all the stuff that you did last season. And so I just really felt like it was important for the D-line to do what they did so that coverage can have as many weapons as they can back there. And they did that. I mean, they really disrupted Brady. We know Brady's not somebody that's going to operate well with pressure. And they did their job. And I think the offense did their job too, or the Rams offense did their job too. And then the Rams started to get that game away. And we all know how it ended. Now, here's what I don't get. And we got to go back to Rodgers just because I see a lot of people. He only had this if you take away the busted coverage. Wait, when are we taking away busted coverages? Because we taking away busted coverages, a lot of quarterbacks weren't impressive. I mean, we over here saying, oh, you take away the busted coverage for Aaron Rodgers. Well, take away the 2 busted coverages for Stafford. Huge touchdown to Kupp, and then a huge play to set up the field goal. And so I give the credit. I personally give the credit to them making the play. Busted coverage or not, you got to make that play. And, it's not your fault. You can't play defense and offense. I'm giving credit for both of those. But to sit here and act like they weren't busted coverages, to sit here and act like the miscommunication wasn't a big factor, I mean, that's part of it. And so you definitely have to recognize, and if you don't recognize this, I don't know how you watch football. Communication is a huge part of the game. One of the most important. And so what is defense or offense is tough to be on the same page. I wouldn't say it's tough. It's tough to be on the same page when you're calling a lot of different things. But for me, when you get to the playoffs, it's always weird to me, especially on defense, to see defenses have these communication busts, because it's been all season and you don't do nearly as much as the offense does. So people have to realize communication plays a huge part into that. And so the Bucks, we know defensively just have not been what we expected. And yes, people say, oh, they didn't all play together. I don't care. First of all, even last year, the secondary wasn't no all-world beaters. My thing is, one of the most underrated linebackers ever, Levante David. Devin White, one of the best young linebackers. Vita Vea, mountain of a person. Then Ndamukong Suh, still playing at a high level. Shaq Barrett came back. All that good stuff. The front is the thing. And not only for the coverage bust, but for the run game to be able to matriculate as well as it does against these Bucs has just been very confusing. And without the actual coach film to sit down and watch, I can't really tell you off the top of my head why it has looked the way it has looked. And so that to me has always been a thing. But obviously the turnovers, the defense put you back in the game. That's all you can ask for. And Tom Brady delivered, and then we had a coverage bust. So who knows what would happen if we went to overtime. And then the big one, the Chiefs-Bills, which not gonna lie, I went to sleep not early, I think before the fourth quarter though. I just had a headache. I was done. But I rewatched the game today and I obviously heard about it. Now, when you look at the score and you hear about it, you think one thing. But watching that game today, I mean, entertaining, yes. But you talk about coverage bust. You talking about coverage bust. Almost 4 touchdowns worth of coverage bust to Gabriel Davis. The Bills, while very talented, while pretty well coached and all that, obviously you don't have Tre'Davious White, but you still got a lot of talent out there. They were not in that game like people try to make it seem. Like, it took some miraculous, and partly, that's part of the defense fault, miraculous stuff to keep them in the game and then ahead. And so, again, you take advantage of it, cool, but they weren't really handling that game like some people try to talk about. Like, the Chiefs are really doing their business, which makes it even scarier, the fact that the Chiefs came out of it. Now, all that aside, there's only one thing to talk about. Sean McDermott, I have to blame you for the Chiefs winning. Point blank, period. Now, I don't care if he calls defense. He is a defensive background coach. I don't care if he wasn't. When it comes down to those moments, the buck stops with you. You allowed the defense to come out there and play soft prevent defense when there was 13 seconds left in 3 timeouts. I do not care. I don't care what anybody says. That it ain't hindsight. It ain't anything. It is plain situational football. If there's 13 seconds and no timeouts, you played the best defense. Play it soft, rally to the ball, defend the sidelines, force it to the middle. When they have 3 timeouts, that means any part of the field is open. It doesn't matter because they can stop the clock. So now you have to play this a little more regular. Now, to me, there was only one option. I wouldn't say one, but there was the best option very clearly, and that's bracket coverage. Bracket coverage. Press on Kelsey, press on Hill, somebody behind them. Obviously, if they bunch and they motion, then you got to have your rules for that. But I'm bracket coverage. I am bracket coverage. You're going to have to throw to Pringle. You're going to have to throw to Hartman. You're going to have to throw to somebody that ain't one of these guys. And if you don't have those guys right off the line, and I would say the one with Kelsey wasn't right off the line, had a little bit of time in between. But if you don't see them right off the line and you got to redirect your progression, fine. They might complete the pass, but guess what? They also wasting time. That was crazy. That was crazy to me to see that. And then in the overtime, they did what they did. So McDermott, that's on you. You got to hold that L because the Chiefs did all they could to let you be in that game. And y'all really messed it up. So there's how that goes. This whole Manning versus Brady, Bills, Chiefs, AFC forever. That's again why I thought rewatching it felt like, what is everybody talking about? Like, the Bills were good, but let's not act like they were dominant, and let's not act like they were dominant this season. So I'm not saying they're not going to be in it, but everyone's kind of talking like it's Bills and Chiefs up here and everybody else down there. I don't think that's the case, especially if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Steelers. So anyway, there's that. I feel like it was something else about that game. But anyway, that's kind of where we are. Again, we got a lot of silly narratives, a lot of silly things being said. Definitely don't agree with. Again, you go back to the game. You rewatch the plays if you don't have access to coach film. If you got access to coach film, you watch the actual film, and we see what it is, rather than these hot take, stupid narratives that are clearly biased and spin. And so, for me, coming out of this playoffs, the overtime, that's what people are going to talk about. Well, let me say real quick, I like the Chiefs a lot. Like I said, it's not just how impressive the Chiefs were, and they were. Patrick Mahomes was impressive. I wouldn't say I was getting down on Patrick Mahomes, but I will say he has not progressed like I thought. All the things he can do in that first year starting, you thought, wow, he is at a high level. If he is already here and he puts work into it, he's going to be elite. He's going to be unable to be stopped. But to be honest, I think he got a little cocky and got a little complacent. And not to say that he's not good. But, and even to this day, I don't think he's made the step that I thought he could. And he still can. He's super young. But last night, he showed why that man is special. I mean, and there's so many small plays because everybody just wants to look at the total and all the big play, whatever. There's so many small plays where it does not happen if that ball's not in the right place. And again, people, they just throw those away with everybody else. Jimmy G, Tannehill, Burrow, Rodgers, Stafford. The only people that really don't get that that really don't get that pass are the big time quarterbacks. And I'm talking about those passes that are behind. The receiver has to stop to go back and catch it, stops them from getting the first, or that it's a little low, the receiver has to dive down, so now they can't pick up yards after. All that. There's some plays where if Mahomes does not put the ball accurately, then the play can't happen the way it does. And not only is he doing that, but he's doing it while under pressure on the move sometimes. It's absolutely great. One thing that he's always been great at is keeping his eyes downfield, knowing the situation. That resulted in him being able to run crazy last night, which I think another mistake by the Bills. That was one of my keys to victory. They were terrible in quarterback contain. And I'm not talking about spy and all that. I'm talking about the edge of the pocket was gone almost every play. And you just let him continue to scramble or extend the play. So, but he only can do that because he keeps his eyes downfield. He doesn't get locked on one person. He doesn't get locked on running. He takes what's there. And he's been better at stop going for the huge shot and just going down the field. So I think the Chiefs are by far my favorite for the AFC. Because on top of that, the Bengals, again, I don't think you could play that sloppy against the Chiefs. Not to say that Bengals don't have a chance, but for me, I'm going with the Chiefs there. And then the Rams-Niners. I mean, we already saw the Niners. People say what you want. Last game of the season, we saw the Niners beat them twice actually. And you're in LA. There's no inclement weather, but it's gonna be tough. Again, people not really talking about the pressure this weekend. You saw what happened to Brady. You saw what happened to Aaron Rodgers. That's going to be happening to Jimmy G and Stafford. So I'm going to be real curious to see how this game plays out. I would like the Niners to win, even though that'd be a Chiefs-Niners repeat. But I just like this idea of how many people crap talk Jimmy G and Shanahan, these hot take flip-floppers every week. And now, we had, 3 weeks ago, people talking about how Shanahan should probably be fired. And now, look at this. So that would be funny to me. But also the Rams would live up to the prophecy that everybody talked about. People hated on Stafford. People hated on OBJ. So it'd be interesting. I'm cool either way. Real quick, the overtime rules. I understand where people are coming from because I don't recall seeing this many people come out and say they shouldn't change the rules, but I'm seeing that a lot, and I understand where people are coming from. I agree. Like, they know the rules coming in. They know what they have to do. And as I will always say, the same thing about refs. If you don't want to go to overtime, do what you got to do during the game. If you don't want the game to come down to a ref's flag, which I don't agree with, then do what you got to do during the game, the rest of the game. I agree. So 100% there. However, I just feel fine with them changing the rules. I 100% do. Yes, you should be able to stop them, hold them to a field goal, whatever, if you want to win. But I'm okay with the college rules. I see a lot of pushback against that. I don't know why. I really don't know why. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the Ravens proposal where one team gets to pick the spot the ball, the other team gets to pick if they offense or defense. I'm fine with that. A little bit of gamesmanship. But I'm also fine with just extending it and making it, instead of do or die, just making it a whole quarter. I'm okay with that too, or a shorter quarter, whatever. I'm fine with that too as well. Maybe that's more in line with what people want to see, and I'm okay with that. So that's me. So anyway, that's it. Go down comment section, let me know what you think. Share it around, get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, share it around. I think I already said that. Thank you for listening.